this video, I'm going to show you how I made these Dallas Cowboy themed baby rattles perfect for a baby shower. So stay tuned and I will show you how. Here are the things that I used: a 4-inch baby rattle cookie cutter, a 1-inch star cookie cutter. I will be using black and royal blue food coloring. I have some blue and gray candy pearls and some gray ribbon. Alright guys, let's get started. Alright guys, so to get started with these rattles, depending on how big your cookies are, depending on what size your cookie cutter is or how much your cookie dough expands while baking, I just suggest using a round cookie cutter that will fit just a bit smaller than the outside of the cookie, and then either with an edible marker or just with your tool, go ahead and scrape or color in the circle inside, and this will give you a guideline to where you can stop with your flooding of your icing, so you can have a nice round shape, a nice round circle. For example, here my cookie dough kind of expanded to the side, so it was more oval than round, but I was able to keep my circle nice and round. So that's one reason why I like to have an outline. So now to flood it in, I have here a tip number 3. And I'm just going to follow my outline that I made with my tool and then completely fill it in. And I do have my navy blue and my gray on standby, both on tip 1s, so I can fill in my stripes. It is wet on wet, so I have to have those ready. So I'm going to go ahead and spread out my icing and cover my scratch that I made with my tool or my circle, and try not to distort my round shape. So now I'm going to go in with my navy blue. I'll start off with my navy blue, and I have it here again, like I said, in a tip 1, and I'm just going to start at the top and then just go on until I get to the bottom. You can make as many as you like, or as less lines as you like. So that's about it. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to, mainly in the corners, tap them in so they can sink in. Sometimes your colors will sink in rather nicely without you having to tap them in. Sometimes they need a little help. So now I'm going to move on with my gray, and I'm just going to go in between those blue lines like so. So I'm going to again tap mainly the ends. These are good. And that's it. So it's starting to look nice now. So I'm going to give this some time to dry. I'm going to move on to the next one. Alright guys, so moving on to the next design, I already scraped off my circle with my cookie cutter like I did before. I did forget to mention at the beginning of the video that I did trim off these little pieces here before I baked the cookie. If you have seen my other baby rattle video, I do have these pieces on there on the cookie, and I did, I believe, mention saying that if you're not going to be piping in a bow here and you're not going to need these, to just trim them off. That way you don't have these little pieces here standing there and you're not really going to need them. So when you cut out your cookie dough, just with a knife, just trim off these little pieces on the sides. So again, I'm going to start off with my white. And of course, again, you can use any other color for your base. So I'm going to do white, and I do suggest using white because it is brighter than your navy blue. And you can use a lighter gray. That's sort of on the lighter side. But I do recommend using the white. Makes your colors stand out a little bit more. So then again, just go ahead and make your circle. Okay, so after you smooth your icing out, go ahead and go in with your other colors. again with a tip 1, you can just randomly put in your polka dots, do little ones, do big ones. And then go on with your next color. Okay, so now go ahead and do the same thing I did with the other one, and that's bringing down any pieces that are standing up. You want to make sure that they dry nice and flat, and that's it. So now I'm gonna give this a little bit of time to dry. Alright guys, so I gave this about 5 minutes just to grab a crust. I did get my gray icing into a thicker consistency, not so much of the flooding, because these need to stick on there. So if it's not thick enough, they're going to fall off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a dot of icing right here so I can add my little candies. Now you can do them all in one color, or you can alternate like I'm doing here. They didn't have any like navy blue color. This is the closest that they had in these. They come in a variety of colors, but they didn't have one that was a little bit more darker in the shade. So it'll have to do. I really like using these candies for the handles of the little rattles. Okay, so I was able to fit 5 of these. So I'm gonna finish up the rest, and then I'm gonna come back with the bottom part. Alright, so now I have a tip number 5 in a sort of medium consistency, and I'm going to start here at the bottom and try to give this a nice round little ring, and I will go over it twice just to give it a little bit of height so it can match the height of the candies. Alright, so after that, go ahead and let this dry. Now do give the top part here a minimum of 2 hours to dry. I want this to be nice and dry, so when I add on my star design, I don't accidentally puncture the icing. So do give this plenty of time to dry. So I'm going to finish up the rest, and I'll be back. Alright guys, so moving on to my design, I have here a star cookie cutter that fits perfectly well, not too large, not too small. Now you can use either an edible marker with a fine point, or your tool to either scrape or draw the star on your cookie, and then you're going to go ahead with your navy blue and your gray. This is a very light gray. You can darken it up a little bit more. They are both in tips 1, so I'm going to be using my edible marker just because I'll be able to see my lines a little bit more since my icing is white. I may not be able to see that scrape too well, so I'm just going to use my edible marker. Now if your icing is still a little bit moist, I think mine needed a little bit more time to dry. This is why I always say give it plenty of time to dry. The more the better. If you get little puncture holes, just try to cover it with your icing. Just try to go over it as much as you can so you won't have those holes visible. So that'll be fine. So now I'm gonna go ahead with my blue, my navy blue, and again tip 1, and I'm just going to fill it in. Just do the best that you can. So go ahead and smooth your icing out. Alright, so after you smooth it out, just make sure that you pull out your little sharp points. And now go ahead with your gray. This is going to look a little bit more like white, but it is gray. Alright, and again, trying to get these points out nice and sharp. And that's pretty much it now for the ending. And you will need your little bow, which I already made, but I will have to wait for this to grab at least the crust. If you want to let them dry completely, that's fine. I don't want to accidentally put any of my wet icing onto the material, so I'm just going to wait and then add it here. You can add it down here or in the middle, any way that you like, but I do want this icing to set. Alright guys, so to finish this off, I'm going to add the little bow. I had already made them ahead of time. I'm going to add a little bit of icing to the back. And then I'm going to put mine up here at the top, like I normally do. And that is it, guys. I'm just going to give this some time for this to dry so it doesn't come off accidentally. I still got to give this a little bit more time also to dry completely. And that's about it. Alright guys, they are done. I hope you like how they turned out. This is the first time I've made Dallas Cowboy themed rattles, so I'm happy with the way they turned out. I just try to make it simple and easy to make, so if you're having a Dallas theme baby shower, give these a try. Super easy to make. Also, I did use a 1/4 of an inch ribbon, and I did go with the gray, but you can go with a navy blue or a white. But since I had the navy blue star and there was a little too much white in the rattle already, I decided to go with the gray. Also, the royal blue candies, I couldn't find those in the navy blue, so I had to use those. So if you're wanting to not include those because they don't match too well with the navy blue, go ahead and then just use all gray, all white, or mix white and gray candies. Like I said, they do come in a variety of colors, so you can go ahead and use like the gray and the white instead. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Stay tuned for a onesie that I will be also making with the Dallas Cowboy theme, so stay tuned for that. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a good one.